The coppery scent of blood was the first thing I registered, thick and cloying in the damp air of the boathouse. The second was the weight of his hand, surprisingly heavy, clamped around my wrist. Dante Volkov's breathing was a ragged, wet sound in the sudden quiet. A beautiful stain, crimson and wide, blossomed across the front of his pristine white shirt, spreading from the place where I had buried the knife. His eyes, the color of storm clouds, were fixed on my face, searching for something I no longer possessed. That night, he rasped, a trickle of blood escaping the corner of his mouth. In the rain, when you took a bullet for me, he coughed, a shudder racking his powerful frame. Our child. His grip tightened, a final, desperate plea. Was any of it real? Vivian, just tell me that was real. For years earlier, I became the most cherished possession of Viridian City's most dangerous man in a single year. For years together, and everyone in his circle knew I loved him to the point of self-destruction. I'd walked through fire for him, taken a bullet for him, and mastered the art of being the perfect, obedient woman who understood his every whim. They all believed I would be his wife. They called me Luna, the she-wolf to their alpha. They called me Mrs. Volkov in hushed, respectful tones, until his first love came back, until, in a moment of life or death, he shoved me in front of a gun to save her. What he didn't know was that I had just received a positive pregnancy test. That very morning, the bullet ripped through my abdomen. I miscarried, hemorrhaging on the cold pavement. That was the first time I saw him, a man forged in ice and cruelty, break down and sob. He knelt on the ground, cradling me not to die, begging me to forgive him. He swore he loved me, only me, but I didn't love him, not one bit, because the man I truly loved was a cop. And 5 years ago, on the night before our wedding, Dante Volkov had put a bullet through his head. On the 4th anniversary of becoming Dante Volkov's mistress, he told me he wanted to marry me. The reason he gave was the same old litany. I was sensible, obedient, and I bore a striking resemblance to his first love, Penelope Marsden. I had always known my place. I was a substitute. For 4 long years, on every night he was haunted by her memory. He would pull me into a tangled mess of limbs and desperation. He once told me that my face, flushed and tear-streaked in the throes of passion, was when I looked most like her. His love, if you could call it that, was never truly mine. My friends tried to console me, pointing out that even when he was head over heels for Penelope, he never once mentioned marriage. But now, he wanted to marry me. Everyone around him, including his most hardened lieutenants, insisted that Dante loved me. He just didn't know it himself. Dante would make me breakfast. He would wake me with a soft murmur against my hair. He tolerated my every whim and spoiled me with endless patience. When I offhandedly mentioned wanting a proper proposal, he spent weeks meticulously planning it himself, like a teenager fumbling through his first love. Everyone was certain I was destined to be his wife. For a moment, I was the most envied woman in all of Viridian City. Then, just before the wedding, Penelope Marsden returned, and on that very same day, I found out I was pregnant. And on that very same day, Dante Volkov decided he didn't want me anymore. He first met Penelope when she was working at the Crimson Veil, a high-end private club that catered to the city's elite. Her mother's gambling addiction had apparently devoured their family fortune, and her father had vanished, leaving her to support a younger brother. Desperate, she had turned to the one place where a beautiful woman could make a fortune overnight. She entered our private suite with a line of other dancers, and the moment her eyes met Dante's, I saw it, a flicker of shock, followed by a sharp, desperate lowering of her head. She clearly hadn't wanted him to recognize her, but fate, or perhaps the cruel club manager, had other plans. As he was leaving, the manager shoved her forward, and she stumbled, landing right beside Dante. Dante, a cigarillo dangling from his lips, had his eyes closed, his head resting against my shoulder. "Get the hell away from me," he growled, his voice a low threat. "If my woman gets